Welcome back to Remodeling with Mike. In this video, we're going to be talking about how we installed this beautiful kitchen that I'm standing in right now and how we dealt with a 1925's home with the off-plumb walls and out-of-level floor. You're going to want to watch to the end of this video because we're going to go into all the unique features that this kitchen has to offer. Every project is different in its own accord. This one has several really cool features that I can't wait to show you. We're going to go into all the tips and tricks on how we install these cabinets and get into very good detail to help you if you're installing your own kitchen. If you're hiring a contractor, you'll know what to look for. If you are a contractor and you're just looking for extra tips, this video is for you. This is the beginning of a kitchen install. We're gonna walk you through the process start to finish. Number one step to starting your kitchen install is getting that level line so you can determine whether or not you have to scribe or shim your cabinets. If you're going a custom line, you're gonna end up scribing almost every single cabinet and not shimming it. We're doing a semi-custom line. This is a very elevated kitchen, but we're still gonna have some discrepancies because of the age of the house and the floor. Now with these cabinets, we could have ordered them a little extra taller, but we have scribe moldings that are gonna help us if we need them. So what you see here is the green laser line going around, marking the top edge of all these cabinets. We've determined that our highest point or our lowest point off the floor, 34.5 inches, is gonna match up with our cabinets. And then anywhere in the corner like this, we may have to shim it and bring it up. You're gonna start in the corner and work your way out instead of working at the sink and working your way into the corner. Can you guess why? Once you have your level mark all the way around, what you have to do next is go through and mark all your studs. We started getting some measurements on here. These are actually marking out the cabinets, but it's very, very important to mark out your studs, especially if you don't have plywood or blocking. In this kitchen, on this wall specifically, we do have plywood behind here, so we're not overly concerned about it. We were part of the rough framing construction. At least we got to see it. We didn't install it. So we do know what's behind these walls, which is a big plus. But if you're an installer that wasn't part of the project from the beginning and you're installing kitchen cabinets, make sure you ask for any type of documentation from the rough framing, if at all possible. And if not, you're gonna wanna go through this thing with your stud finder, marking all the locations and verifying that there's no pipes or wires running through it. The stud buddy identified where the studs are gonna go. If you don't do this and you hang your cabinets and your screw doesn't hit a stud, your cabinets are gonna fall off the wall in the future, which is gonna cost you thousands of dollars. So make sure you mark out every single stud. We're in Newport, Rhode Island, and this is a house that was renovated, gutted out, and fixed and brought up to current day code. Some of the things that we're gonna be fighting on this renovation is that the walls aren't perfectly level and plumb, and the floor is gonna be a little bit wavy. Again, the house was built in 1925, and that's the fun of renovations, is working around old things. When you're planning your kitchen, a couple of things to pay attention to. So over here is gonna be where our sink base is, right? You always kind of want your sink, so when you're sitting here, you're staring out into something, maybe a window, or if maybe you have a view, a water view or something of that sort. The owners put the triple window in before us, and we're gonna utilize this as our focal point. It's gonna be the center of the 3-bay window. So what we've gone through is we've gone through and marked center on the rough framing of everything, and that's how we determined the layout. Starting with our sink base here and then working our way towards the corner, we realized that we had this funky bump out here. So instead of being able to go with a Lazy Susan, we opted for a shallow depth blind corner. What this allows us to do, using Fabuwood is a semi-custom line. What it allows us to do is to cut and modify these cabinets at the factory so that when we get them for the install, they're ready to go. It's not fully customizable as far as the width goes, but Fabuwood allows us to cut the depth along with many other modifications. And that's one of the reasons why we chose to use them here. Other than that, we're partners with them. So if you haven't checked them out, check out Fabuwood. When you're laying out your kitchen, some of the most important things to realize before you even start this process is you want to develop a wish list and you want to understand what your appliances are. The biggest appliance to pay attention to has got to be your refrigerator, because that will determine the cabinets that go around it, as well as your stove. If you're going to go from a 30 to a 36, you want to note that from the very get-go. So do your best to identify any and all appliances you're going to put in your kitchen first. Second, you want to put together a wish list. For these customers, they really wanted storage, and what they didn't want to see is all these pullouts. They said to put as many drawers in here as possible. Along with that wish list, you're going to want to think about the kitchen essentials that you're going to need. Do you need the organizer for the utensils? Do you need a trash pullout? Maybe you're a big family and you're going to need 2 dishwashers. Identify any essential products, anything that's on your wish list, and all of your appliances before you start measuring and planning your kitchen. It'll save you so much time in the back end. I want to give you a couple tips to measure your kitchen accurately. That way, when you come to the final thing, it'll save you thousands of dollars in mistakes. The biggest thing that you want to do is make center marks on your windows so that when you start installing your cabinets, your sink base is not off center. That's very important. Quick break in the video, guys. We dropped a link below in the description. It goes to our Amazon store where we found lookalikes and actual tools and materials that we used in this exact kitchen. Anywhere from these hardwares to the lasers that we used to level out the cabinets. Check out that link. Thank you guys for your support. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're doing a remodel where you have existing appliances in place and you're not changing the layout, make sure you mark the center of the appliances. That's just as important as your windows, because you're going to want to make sure everything goes back in the same spot and you work out from there. Another very important measurement will be your floor to ceiling. This is something I want to point out here, right? So in this remodel, it was a head scratcher for me. This is one of my first ones where we had an actual slope just in the corner. I wasn't sure how it was all gonna work out. So we opted for this wall to not have any uppers. We're gonna have a fridge on that side, but we do have upper cabinets right here. So I used the low end of that ceiling and I found the high end of the flat ceiling to modify everything for our crown. Our uppers will go to the top of that and we won't have to modify the actual cabinet. And then we're gonna have a crown starter that carries us up so we can add our crown. And you're actually not gonna see that whole slope when we're done. It's pretty cool. The last thing that you absolutely have to pay attention to is your wall stops. So from corner to edge of wall, or from edge of wall to edge of wall, the last thing you wanna do is add 3 inches on accident. And then next thing you know, your cabinets carry on to nowhere. If you have a corner, this is a very important starting spot when you're planning your install, but it's also important to know what the wall distance is from edge to edge. From here to the back was very important. That way we could get our distance and depth right. And then from here, we're gonna go from this corner to the end wall so we can maximize this entire kitchen. This is gonna be our tall double stove oven that we're gonna end up cutting and modifying to fit our appliances. And the good thing is we're gonna end up having additional storage underneath and additional storage above. If we get the measurement from that corner to this end wall off, this whole kitchen will be a disaster. We're gonna start our install with all of the bases. It goes against everything you ever hear online. Everybody always says, hey, start with your uppers, get the uppers out of your way so that you don't scratch your lowers. I get that concept, but we're gonna be super safe when we get to the upper cabinets, and let me explain why we're gonna start with our base cabinets. When you're here and you're laying out all your base cabinets, you can make sure that you get a nice tight corner, that your sink line is centered, and you're gonna put your fillers in where needed. Now mind you, this is a semi-custom kitchen. This is not fully custom. In a fully custom kitchen, everything's laid out to the like 1/16 of an inch, and then you're gonna get extended stiles that you can scribe and really join. This kitchen is gonna include fillers. What a filler is it allows you to put a cabinet next to a cabinet and space it out with a nice little strip. It's gonna be pre-finished. We're gonna screw it all in on the sides, but that'll give us our perfect layout. That is gonna be the majority of the kitchens that most homeowners are gonna install. When you get into custom, it's a little bit more elevated. We're gonna end up doing a video on custom installs in the future, so make sure you guys subscribe and follow. Again, we're starting with our base cabinets instead of our uppers, which is contrary to what most people are gonna say. We do this to hit our layout perfectly, and then we can adjust our uppers to match our lowers. If we start with our uppers and follow our plan, you don't always get the center of the window with the sink base. You don't always get your appliances laid out perfectly. It takes a little bit of extra thinking, and you could probably get it there, but we found a faster and more efficient way. And that's by starting in the corner with our base cabinet, getting our bottoms laid out perfectly, and then the biggest thing that I tell my finish carpenters, no tool belt in the finish area. right? They have all of their tools stationed over the side, and we're gonna be ready to go at all times. Sometimes we even utilize the inside of our drawers to hold our drills. You'll see us put some cardboard down and lay everything on the inside. That way we're readily available. It also allows us to play around with our backsplash height, because sometimes we can gain an extra inch instead of sticking to the strict 18 inches, which is standard. So once you go through and you start marking all your studs, the next thing you want to do is check level and plumb. It's going to help when you're installing these cabinets and you're not going to run into surprises. One thing that I noticed that I'm going to point out, if you come in here nice and tight and you throw this level hard against this wall, I'm flat from here going up. Go ahead, get on this angle really quick. You'll see what I'm talking about. This is all touching, everything's nice and tight, and then right here I can almost stick my entire pencil, I can, behind that level. That means that this wall has a big dip in it, and we're gonna have to pay attention to that. Luckily, our base cabinets are gonna go tight, we'll shim where we need to, and then from here up, it's actually pretty flat. When we're dealing with this corner, you wanna just double check if it's level, which this is not. This is off level by quite a bit. We weren't involved in the framing of this guy, so it's gonna be a little tricky, but we're gonna have some fun with it and see how this kitchen install comes out. It's gonna be difficult, so watch the whole thing. When you're planning a kitchen that has an island, you're gonna wanna pay attention to what building code requires and what's gonna be more comfortable. So building code requires us to have a minimum 36 inches between countertop to countertop. While that is sufficient to meet code, it's not always comfortable. What we try to shoot for is anywhere between 42 to 44 inches. Specifically speaking, wherever the dishwasher is, if you think about it and you open the dishwasher, you want to be able to open it from in front of it, or if you're standing on the side, at least walk past it. With 36 inches, you can't do that. The 42 to 44 gives you a little bit more elbow room in the kitchen and allows for easy functionality. Now we have Emerson starting, prepping all the tools, getting the laser set. He's already made a few marks on the walls. So this is the center of our sink base, the edge of our sink base. This is our dishwasher, 24 inches. We add an 1/8 inch to that opening because every dishwasher isn't made equal. So we give ourselves a little bit of playroom there. Then you're gonna have a 12-inch base cabinet. This is gonna be drawers. And what we did is we included a 3-inch stile on this side of the fridge. Our original plan was to run power up here and out the side. So that depth was gonna give us the ability to put an electrical box inside the cavity. We found a problem. When we continued to lay everything else out, down here it worked out perfectly. We had enough space on the side. But because this wall is not level or plumb, and you carry the line up, we're gonna be about a 1/2 inch to maybe almost 3/4 inch off. That's gonna look horrible when it comes time to put your finished trim on. So we made the executive decision to modify this 3-inch stile and bring it back to 1.5 inches. What that'll do from the aesthetic appeal is when you're looking at the fridge, you'll have 1.5 inches on either side going up and around. It's gonna look better, but we're gonna have to find another way to get power to this countertop for code. In here, in Rhode Island, you do need outlets on your countertops, and since we don't have any uppers here, there's no way that we could put like that plug mold or anything underneath it. When you're looking at your cabinets, this is what is referred to as a stile. It's the outer edge of your cabinet where the doors and drawers are. When you're looking at the fridge, we have our fridge panel, and we're gonna have a 3-inch stile on one side and 1.5 inch stile on the other. That was designed because of the overall layout. This is a semi-custom line. So we can modify things, but you can't fully customize it. So you have to give it take a little bit. It was gonna give us the ability to do the outlet on the outside edge, but we're sacrificing that, and we're gonna find another solution for the power, and we're gonna give us 1.5 inch stile going all the way up around the fridge, so it at least looks uniform. So far, everything looks really good. Marking the orientation minimizes any confusion later on. So he marked the orientation of up, and then he marked right and left. They're both identical, but just in case that the hardware was placed differently, it'll minimize any issues later on. There's a little tab back here. You're just gonna pull it away from it, and it opens everything up. That's the easy way to pull off these doors. Hit that tab, and it releases. So right now, he's got the shims in the front because the floor is actually tilted forward. And you won't see that gap when we're done because the toe kick will cover it. But when he shimmed it up, we still have a gap back here. we're touching the base wall, we're touching the bottom of the wall, and up top there's a big gap. That's because this wall is out of plumb. So you're gonna see this throughout this entire install. Go ahead, you can do it. We're just lightly filling the gaps, because right now the cabinet sits perfect. So he's gonna put these guys in right where we're gonna be screwing. So right now we're using this line, but you also have your plumb, cross lines, cross plumb and square. So you can get a nice square corner if you wanted to. See on the ground? So that's your two vertical lines, your different planes, and then we have our level line. We only need right now the flat level line for our base cabinets. I'm gonna stop touching it because he's gonna get upset. So this is a T15 and this is a T10.
Comes this head.
Exactly. So right now, installing a kitchen, you're gonna use different fasteners. We've talked about this in the past. This is the cabinet screw. It's got the built-in washer, while this is a trim head screw. It's got a nice small trim head to it. They're different bits. So instead of switching out your bits, you're gonna have two different drills with two different bits readily available so that you're not wasting time on this install. What he's doing right now is he's using a style clamp. It's gonna grab the cabinets and bring them together nice and tight. And then this other adjustment is gonna make sure that they're nice and flush. Setting it down low and up top is gonna ensure that you have a nice tight seam there and a really good install. So we're getting ready to install the cabinet between our trash and our corner. What I'm doing is laying out, I pushed it hard to the wall. I laid out 24 inches for the depth. And I'm trying to figure out what's left over as a style so that we can try to divide it and make it look pretty intentional and even. Right now, we should have about 2.5. As I pull it away from the wall, this style will grow in size, which is kind of what I want. Because if you look over here, with a 21-inch cabinet, you're gonna be left off with 5 inches. We're gonna pull it that way to minimize that style and grow this style so that it looks a little more even. Have a house that's perfectly square, plumb, and level, you have to continuously modify your cabinets. So everything that you see here can still be kind of undone and reworked. You can see Emerson's mind running right now. He shimmed these out, it's coming out. What we're trying to avoid is for this to all kick out completely sideways. As you can see, the bottom of the cabinet is touching the wall. On both sides, it's touching. So we've shimmed it out to be plumb. We're checking level on this way. And as we continue towards the corner, it's our focus is to make sure that we don't get all out of whack. So he's gonna be shimming it and screwing it. We're gonna go to the next cabinet. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him having to come back and loosen things up and play with it again. Cabinets, you come here in this corner, you can see that clear as day. He made a good scribe mark on the bottom. We're gonna cut that and that's gonna get lowered. Quick little tip when you're doing your cabinet install. If you can split your shim so that it's gonna grab your new cabinet. That way you're not shimming each one individually. Because once you find that depth, there's probably not much variance between that floor and this floor because you're only about an inch away from each other. So you split the shim, the other cabinet will sit right on there, and at least the fronts are a little less work. So level is very important. Even more important is flat. If one cabinet is up and the other one's down, obviously they're off level, but they're also not flat. The countertop that goes on this is stone. That stone is gonna span across all of these things. And if say you took out part of this cabinet, say right here, you just notch this out. Now that stone is spanning from hard spot to hard spot. It's giving it a weak spot. How many people have jumped up on their countertop to try to reach that upper cabinet, or they throw their kid up there and they're 4 years old, they're watching you cook dinner, you put your kid up there, they're sitting around, or they're on the island. Now, you're not supposed to walk on your countertops, but it happens, I'm sure. I know it's happened in my house. And if you don't have it properly supported and the stone is actually compromised, it could crack and actually injure you. That's one reason why you want this perfect. They will come in, they'll shim it and silicone it and everything will be fine. It is stone, it is a hard material, but it's very important to do that. Now level. Level is when you put your glass of water down and the water's not tilted in the glass of water. Or you're cooking, right? You want to level off your stove because when you're boiling water, now it's not pouring out on one side. Everything's level so that when you put stuff on there, it's a good working surface. See how he's doing this in the front? Why is he so concerned about them being all lined up and not just pin them to the wall? Because then your cabinets might do this. Now, if your cabinets are wavy, what are you gonna do, make your countertop wavy? No, this has to be perfect here. And you can hide it in the back here with your backsplash or your template of your countertop. You always have to pre-drill your holes when you're putting the cabinets together. You're dealing with a hardwood, it's maple, 90% of the time. At least these painted cabinets are maple. And if you don't pre-drill that, your screw bit is going to push that wood out because it's such a hard wood and it'll split. So any good carpenter is going to pre-drill almost every single hole that they put in, but specifically talking cabinets, you definitely have to pre-drill it. Pick a drill bit that is the same size as the shank of your screw, but smaller than the threads. So when the screw goes in, the threads catch the wood and it won't split. Started with a sink base, knowing that this was our corner cabinet. If we started with this guy and we pinned it hard, everything would have been kicked way out. So making our adjustments, we were able to straighten this guy out pretty damn close. And you can see the gap that we're gonna have in the back. It's massive. We're talking almost 1.5 inch gap in the very back. That's because these walls, they weren't framed square. And that's going to screw us slightly because when you have a blind cabinet, it's always recommended to have a 3-inch filler here. Reason being, when your handle's here and you open this, it'll bypass. So we put these in just to test it all. A standard handle sticks out about 1.5 inches. From here, we have 2 inches. So we believe that when the handle's on, you'll still have a 1/2 inch clearance, a little tighter than normal. But what we did is we started laying everything out on this wall. As you can see here on the renderings, we only have the one filler on that side. And then it's an 18, a 30, a 15, and a 33. When you add that all up, it's 99 inches. Well, when we measured out, we had 98 3/4. So we had more cabinet than wall space. So we're gonna sacrifice a 1/2 inch here. We made sure everything works. I think we're happy with everything. That 1/2 inch is gonna give us a 1/4 inch reveal on the far wall. Now, in the beginning of the video, we talked about level plumb square. Why is it so important? Check this out. We pulled this off just because it doesn't need to be tight right now. But when you hold this level here to check plumb on this wall, we are off, but to plumb it up, the bottom needs to come out. So that means we should be very good up at the top. We took our measurement down here. The fact that that's deeper gives us a little bit extra room at the top. You're gonna notice it walking down the hallway this way, that this wall and this cabinet is not perfectly flush with this, but there's no way to fix that now. Honestly, it should have been done in the framing, which we did not do. But always double check plumb level and square because it's very, very important. In the middle of our install here, and we're spacing out for our dishwasher, what we're doing is we're cutting blocks so that it spaces enough for our dishwasher plus 1/8. That's gonna give us that little bit of wiggle room that we're looking for when we go to slide this dishwasher in. These blocks are gonna get screwed in up top here. One's going to the wall. The one on the wall can stay because it's gonna carry the countertop. The one on the front you're gonna remove before the countertops go in. And then the ones on the floor, you just pull those out when you're ready to slide your dishwasher in. But putting these guys in during your install will prevent any type of shifting or moving between the install and the countertops and the appliances. The last thing you need is the countertop guy to bump it, kicks it over, and now your dishwasher doesn't fit. In this kitchen right here, we have a 2-tier island. This thing's pretty unique. You don't see it in every single kitchen. Personal taste, really. Some people want it to be smooth all the way through. Some people like the 2-tier so that you get the bar height on this side and you get your regular counter space on this side. It kind of encloses everything. We add the outlets to this backsplash and wrapped it with the stone. I think it came out gorgeous. And being 8 feet long, you can fit 4 people on this side easily and 1 person over there, creating 5 spaces. If you really wanted to cramp in, you could fit 6 at this whole island. It's pretty neat. The outside of this was supported with our metal brackets that we use all the time. These things are a lifesaver because it just keeps everything wide open underneath there. So you can sit here with your bar stool and not knock your knees against anything. Definitely a key feature that I like to put into every single kitchen that has an overhang on their island. Now, one other thing that I wanted to point out, guys, is this whole island is all drawers. This was done on purpose. The owner liked the idea of installing just drawers for easy access to everything, so you can open it up and you can access it that way. It saves you from having to get on your knees and get down low so you reach to the bottom. It's just not fun. So we added drawer bases to the entire island. It is an upgrade. It is a little more expensive, but this thing came out beautiful. All right, next thing I want to show you is this trash pull-out. You get a couple different sizes for trash pull-outs. I really like to try to maximize it whenever possible. This is a 21-inch trash pull-out from Fabuwood cabinetry. It's a beautiful design where it comes up and it attaches the cabinet up nice and high, so you don't get that additional rock. It's got a nice smooth glide. Blum makes their glides, and everything installs and works perfectly. So the key feature here is when you're doing your trash pull-out, try to maximize that size. We needed to add outlets to this. During that video, you heard me talk about how we were going to be installing them on the side panel. We pivoted slightly and we installed them into the countertop because we just couldn't get them in this back wall. It wouldn't have looked right. It wouldn't have fit with all the framing in there. So what we have are these outlets that push that button and they pop right up. Another really cool feature right here is going to be your cooktop. This is an electric cooktop that's dropped in to your counter space. So they come, they template, and they cut out that hole. This thing gets all hooked up and wired in through the back. What I love about this is you get this cabinet with these super deep drawers where you can keep all your pots and pans. Everything's ready to access so you can cook right there. Something that we did to add a little custom flair into this kitchen was we created these white oak shelves. They go on the left side of the hood and they go on the right side of the corner cabinets. This kitchen was very, very hard to balance aesthetically because of the layout and where we had to put the sink versus the stove. The owners really wanted this double oven. So to try to balance everything off, we added the shelving on this side and then we added it over here. It got us around that really awkward triangle up top. If you remember in the beginning of the video, I was talking about how we're gonna get around it. We just boxed out everything so you can't even see it. We added some crown and then we added these shelves to help balance the kitchen and add a little custom flair. A really cool feature to add to any kitchen is a double oven, especially if you like to cook. Think around the holidays when you're running and you're doing your turkey and then you got your stuffing and you have everything in different areas. You can prep an amazing meal in this kitchen between the double oven, the cooktop, and all of this space. I can only imagine what you can dream up to cook in this space. From an aesthetic standpoint, I wanted to point out this backsplash. This is gorgeous. They decided to go with the same countertop material, carry it up that back wall. So in order to get this to look absolutely perfect, we installed our upper cabinets and then they came and templated everything. We actually took down the cabinets to install the backsplash so we wouldn't cause any damage, and then we put the cabinets back up nice and tight to that. After that was done, we added our shelves and the hood directly over the backsplash, giving it that clean, seamless look, and really I think it came out beautiful. And then we carried that full height all the way around to the window and dropped it down below the window here. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'm always interested in new ideas, and we love seeing a full height backsplash, especially with a beautiful countertop like this one. Got one more thing to show you guys. is these pantry storage cabinets. We got these from Fabuwood as well. These are 12 inches deep. And what we wanted to do is utilize this little jog in the wall without taking up too much space. I think we pulled that off. We got about 42 inches here. So you can push a stool fully in, or if somebody's sitting there, you can actually sit about right where I'm at and you can still walk by behind us. This adds so much value to this kitchen, right? For just a few $1,000s more, we added floor to ceiling pantry storage that covers 6 feet of wall space. Guys, what would you put in these cabinets? I can only imagine the junk food and the chips, the jerky, the canned foods, the flour. I mean, gosh, you could have a whole supermarket in these things. In this kitchen, it took us about 2.5 days to get all of the cabinets actually installed. And then throughout the process, you have all the moldings and everything else. A standard kitchen can take anywhere from 2 to 5 days. And then if it's a little bit more complicated, well, a couple extra days. If you're a homeowner and you've hired a contractor to come renovate your kitchen, the number one thing that you have to do is empty everything out. Take out all your personal belongings, take out all of your food, clean it all out for us so that when we come, all we're doing is dismantling your cabinets, pulling them out, and giving you a fresh slate to start with. So plumbing and electrical components during a kitchen remodel have to be done by a licensed plumber or an electrician. We work with our trade partners. Some people call them subcontractors. We like to call them partners because they're an extension of our company. And we bring in a licensed plumber to hook up your sink and your dishwasher and your disposal. And we bring in a licensed electrician to do all your lighting. If you're looking to customize your kitchen cabinets, you have 2 options that come to mind. One, full custom, where when you work with a fully custom kitchen designer or a builder, they can make your cabinet to any desired spec that you can dream of. The other option that's a little bit more affordable is a semi-custom line, which allows you to reduce or extend the height of your cabinets as well as the depth. But the overall width of the cabinet is basically stock and you can't change that. That's where we adapt and we add fillers to it. Other than that, you can customize it with little details like the shelves behind me, or adding in some cool details on the countertop with a 2-step. Or even on another kitchen, we had this cool little spice rack made where it had these stone corbels and a shelf, and she could put her little spices on. It's pretty cool. When you're looking at cabinets, the most durable materials are gonna be solid wood. The fronts should be solid wood, your drawers should be solid wood, and your boxes should be plywood. Now, when you look at durability, the painted cabinets aren't always the most durable. From time to time, wood wants to move and expand and contract. You're gonna get some cracking that happens over the time. So going with a natural stain grade cabinet is gonna be your most durable, that will last the longest with the least amount of imperfections. But I gotta say, I'm a big fan of painted cabinets, and the durability in these things are great, and they can be touched up and refinished, so don't be scared. So if you get a brand new kitchen like this and you get it installed, you're not gonna wanna use any type of extreme abrasives, especially on a painted surface. So just a light detergent, soap and water, you can wash it down, keep them clean, and then dry them off. You don't wanna leave water on there. Same thing with your stone. Look up, any type of solid surface cleaner and give it a nice wipe down. Make sure it's compatible with whatever stone you use. Here in this kitchen, this is a natural granite. So if you went with a quartz, you're gonna have an easier time cleaning it. Natural stones, you're gonna have to pay attention to it. If you go with marble, that's a whole nother case. So pay attention to what you have and talk to the manufacturers or read the recommendations. In the state of Rhode Island, it's required to give 1-year workmanship warranty as a licensed contractor. At Remodeling Right, we offer a 2 to 5 year warranty depending on the type of project. In this case, you're gonna get the manufacturer's warranty from Fabuwood covering the cabinets, but the installation itself is covered by the contractor. So your project's done and the kitchen's starting to be used, and you start to notice little things start to happen. Sometimes your cabinets become misaligned, maybe you pull a handle off by accident. All you have to do is give us a call. Most of the time it's gonna fall within warranty, we can come out and we can help you, but if not, we can still get it fixed in a timely manner. So the question is, can features like crown molding and lighting be added after the fact? Lighting can be done after the fact if you have accessibility. So in this scenario here, we're actually never going to be able to add undercap lighting that's hardwired without extreme construction because of the backsplash here, right? So ideally, you're either prepping for it in the beginning because you know you want to do it, or maybe you want to add it during the project. But at this point in time, you're kind of be limited to battery powered lights, which can really minimize things. Now, as far as crown goes, as you can see, the crown is an extension of this kitchen. It can always be added after the fact, but it will look unfinished if you don't do it right away. I'd like to say that it's more important to hire somebody that's experienced in kitchen cabinetry. 9 out of 10 times, it's gonna be a professional. That other one person, 1 out of 10, they're gonna be the very, very handy, grew up in the trades, they kind of know what they're doing kind of guy. They can take care of a kitchen install. But because of the intricate details that you need to know, the mistakes that can be made can be very, very costly. It's really recommended to hire somebody that knows exactly what they're doing, ideally a licensed professional. You can install cabinets over an existing floor and then change out your floor at a later date, but I have to warn you that it's not recommended, and I'm gonna tell you why. The cabinets sit on top of the floor, and then you're gonna have to go up against those cabinets and make a nice cut line using a multi-tool. It's very labor intensive, you risk damaging your cabinets. It can be done, we've done it in the past. We've changed out floors and never touched the kitchens. It's a little more labor of love, and it's gonna be a little more expensive too. Some people just don't want to invest everything in one shot. So my recommendation would be, if you can refinish your floor, go ahead and do your kitchen remodel, save your floor to the end. If you're looking at replacing your floor, try to throw it into the project in one foul shot. Otherwise, you run the risk of possibly damaging your cabinets. So you need a backsplash inside your kitchen. It doesn't have to be a full height backsplash like this. It doesn't even have to be a beautiful tile. All you really need is either 3 or 4 inch backsplash carrying all around your kitchen to protect that wall, because right behind here is actually drywall. And if you're washing dishes, you're in and out, you run the risk of getting that drywall wet or damaging it with your pots and pans as you're moving stuff around. So it's always recommended to install some sort of backsplash. All right guys, that's a wrap. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. We put a lot of effort into installing this kitchen and getting all of the detail across to you guys. One of our next videos is gonna be covering all of the final details that you're gonna need to know to make this kitchen livable, going from adjusting all your door fronts and drawers to installing your hardware to even how we install the appliances behind me. So stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.